Time is just gone 8:35 a.m. as we continue with the show this morning. Now, this story that has broken is of major concern because it could have massive implications and consequences for economies right across the entire world. And we're talking about the United States of government. We're talking about the Treasury making an announcement about the debt ceiling in the United States of America. And there are warnings, there are grave warnings about the US government that could possibly default by as early as the 18th of October. And this morning, we are joined by Dr. Charles Sinkala, who is a senior political analyst. And just to unpack the story, but also to try and understand what does this actually mean economically for the United States government and for the rest of the world. Dr. Sinkala, as always, good morning to you, sir, and we welcome you to the show.
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Now, Dr. Sinkala, the United States of America, obviously what happens economically in the United States of America has got implications right across the entire world. Now, this latest warning that has come through from the United States of America, from the Treasury, and talking about the US government running out of cash and defaulting by the 18th of October. What does this mean?
Thank you. Yes, it means exactly that they are running out of money. America is not only the only country now which has gone through certain difficulties in terms of finances. We have seen how the pandemic has ravaged the past 24 months. So countries had to reallocate resources to the fight of the COVID instead of doing the production. This simply means that they won't be able to do certain services, and as well as not only the internal services, the external services, which also includes the aid. United States of America is the biggest funder through USAID and PEPFAR. Various programs, especially on the African continent. South Africa is funded almost 80 billion rands every 12 months. Which is used into a lot of activities. And as well as the United States of America government funds most of the budget with the United Nations. You can remember recently when President Trump funded the United Nations $380 million, through those projects. So this will be the recession which will back to the rest of the countries, especially those United States of America funds.
Yes. Now, if we think, Dr. Sinkala, in the 2009 meltdown was severe and the repercussions or the consequences were severe and felt right across the entire world, the United States of America being one of the largest economies right across the entire world. And we know that their debt levels are high, but what they're also looking for is to actually raise this debt ceiling so that they can get cash to pay millions of Americans.
Yes, the 2008 recession was a little bit much better, but this recession is actually is going to be hit very hard, as we have seen the COVID pandemic has transferred or reallocated the funds to other issues. The complete United States of government treasury are running out of funds. They anticipate that they will run out of funds by the 18th of October. Now, 18th of October is just after next week. So it is something which has come as a shock, especially to countries who bank on the United States of America to support their GDP and their fiscal budgets. But again, what they will do is raising the ceiling of the debt will not cause much of the difference, but they will command Treasury to suspend some of the services that are outside, which includes the aid, the sponsorships, and as well donations to the outside world. They'll try to recapitalize their economy to make sure that it starts working in a way that benefits the Americans. It's all about the American dream, by the way, rather than the dream of the world.
Yes. Now, also, the fact of the matter is what the Treasury is calling for is the raising of the debt ceiling in the United States of America. And also, the short notice where this announcement has come through. We're basically 2 weeks away from October the 18th. And it is clear that, this thing obviously must have been coming a long time. But to make a statement like this at short notice is clearly going to create panic right across the entire world.
Yes, to the world, yes, it is a short notice, but to the Treasury of the United States of America, they must have planned this before. Or what they are saying now, they are confirming to the world that if they hear that the suspension of support, it shouldn't come as a shock or a political shock. It will come as something which is legit and justified. Yes, in terms of debt ceiling raising, that also can also have a very positive impact in terms of stabilizing the economy of the United States of America. Some of the debt or other services will be suspended, to allow for them to recover the economic recovery. But as well, this would be a very big impact, especially to countries like South Africa, Malawi, Zambia, and the other poor African countries who depend on this support from the United States of America as they've been caught without notice. I think also this will be a lesson to countries such as these that I've mentioned, that dependency on United States of America is central. America can be looking as a superpower, but also they are only human beings who run the government. They are subjected to either fail or suspension of support. It is high time that individual countries such as South Africa has to look at a model which is self-reliant and self-dependent, to run their economies.
Yes, I think what you're saying is extremely important in terms of dependency on the United States of America. And this has been a discussion point for far too long because we know that, America, uh, although being a superpower, but economically, this was a country that carried huge risks. And I'm not too sure at this point in time whether we are going to see the chickens coming home to roost, Dr. Sinkala.
I don't think so. Even if the chickens will come home, I don't know if we're gonna have a potato to eat that chicken to make a chicken biryani. But we have to embrace ourselves as the world now re-strategize their spending model. Is it necessary to support or suspend? That's where the world is looking at. So many things we have learned from this COVID pandemic. It has actually exposed the weaknesses in governance, and as well as the spending, what is necessary to spend and where money has to be spent. Most of the budgets has spent much of the money of their past financial year in the militarizing their economies. But military now is not the new world order. The new world order is something which will come from the medicine background, from the
Yes.
health sector, and many others.
Also, yeah, I think the key issue here is when you speak about weaknesses of governments, it's having an impact on ordinary people like yourself and myself. And with the pandemic, we know the situation has been dire. And at this point in time, can citizens, can ordinary people afford to obviously go through another experience like this, where governments like the United States of America, far removed from us, thousands and thousands of kilometers away from us, and yet we feel the impact here.
Yes, indeed, that is quite important what you have said. Many of us, we talk about countries like United States of America, the superpower, that we know that they are going through bad times with the financial stability, but we forget about the ordinary people. To them, it is actually worse, because if the country as big as United States of America can complain about having no funds, if the organizations such as the African National Congress, the ANC here in South Africa, who hasn't paid their staff for the past 3 months, it is shocking that how will an individual from the household, support their families and their food basket. So these are the issues that we have to discuss on the impact on how nations, countries, organizations behave, by also putting in mind the ordinary people. How can we alleviate and make a better life for them?
Well, Dr. Sinkala, we're going to watch this space from now right until the 18th of October. Let's see what happens, what develops, and let's hope that we don't experience the worst that we think that could possibly result as a consequence of what is happening in the United States of America. But for now, we thank you and we pray for your safety. All the best to you. Please take care.
Thank you very much for having me.
Dr. Charles Sinkala joining us this morning, and these are warnings, these are ominous signs that are looming in the background, and this is something that the world needs to keep an eye out on. The time is just gone, 8:46 a.m. We're going to go for a break. We'll be back.